Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Lombardo, host of VendorVibes and fractional CMO. Today, I am here with my friend Annie from NextPax. Hi, Annie.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks so much for asking me to join you.
Thank you for joining. So tell me, what is NextPax?
So NextPax is actually one of the longest available channel managers in the vacation rental space. So what a channel manager is somebody that connects the PMS to all of the channels. So we are kind of like, I always think of, we're like the on-ramp to your distribution highway is the best way to look at it. But we provide that seamless connectivity between a PMS and the distribution channel. So Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb, and the like.
Interesting. Okay, so what makes you guys kind of unique?
I think the unique thing about us is that we have been around for a really long time. So we've kind of built and established really strong relationships with the various channels. We are based in the Netherlands, so we have a very European kind of look and lens on the way we operate. One of the great things that I think that we have that a lot of the companies don't have is that our CTO sits on an advisory board with Booking.com. So their teams work in sync to make sure that we have the most robust technology, not just for Booking.com, but for all the other channels that we work with. So we're constantly iterating on those connections and making sure that they can provide the most seamless, again, this most seamless connectivity to the channels so that partners, the property managers are not stuck having to handle a lot of manual labor to get to the channels.
Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. So would I need to have anything in place in order to work with you? Obviously a PMS, but is there anything else that I would need?
So yeah, a PMS obviously you've got to have that. However, we do have a simplistic system for someone who has one or two units called NXT beds. We don't use it in the U.S. We use it in Latin America and outside the U.S. But it allows people to kind of have that light PMS situation to connect to the channels. But the only other thing that you would have to have in place is if the channel required contracting. But our team on our onboarding side would actually help facilitate the contracting. With Booking.com, we can do contracting directly through our system. So you actually don't have to go into their system to do a lot of the kind of the foundational actions that you would normally need to do with that particular channel.
Oh, interesting. So do you guys work with folks who have more than 50 properties, less than 50, more than 100? Is there kind of a limitation there at all?
No, we can work with somebody who has one unit, and that would be on our NXT beds, kind of this like PMS light. Again, we don't use it in the U.S. as much as we do it outside the U.S. But as far as like capping out, we don't. I mean, some of our providers in Europe have 20, 30,000 units, and there are a lot of large providers in Europe. It's not as fragmented as it is here in the U.S.
Okay. So if you think about your happiest client, can you maybe share why they are so happy with you right now?
I think that again, it's the ease of the connectivity. Like if they have everything in their PMS, we pull over all their content, all their rates, availability, fees, that type of thing. And we have a team that kind of looks at their listings to make sure that they're set up for success on the channels. Then we have a customer success team that actually will work with our larger partners to ensure that their distribution strategy is sound for the market that they're in. So not necessarily just because there's a channel out there doesn't mean that you necessarily need to have that channel. It's really about understanding what that channel can bring to you based on your market and kind of the guest avatar that you're looking for. So I think that our ability to look at a property manager's distribution kind of broadly and make suggestions is something that our partners appreciate. And a lot of our team actually was property managers at one point, so they can empathize with what property managers do. I was in property management years ago. Our head of customer success worked in a large property management group in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So like he has, large market experience. So I think that having that and not just being completely a tech play for somebody is really important because sometimes all of this distribution can seem overwhelming to people.
Yeah, I can definitely see where the consultative approach would be very much appreciated.
Yeah.
So do you guys work, since you mentioned Europe, do you guys work with folks in Mexico, Canada?
Yeah, so we are global. There's one market that we haven't really opened up yet, and that's Brazil. And part of it is Brazil has an interesting payment model. Everything that they do in Brazil is done on payment plans. And it's also payment processing is a little different there. So Brazil is a market that we haven't really expanded into. My region of or sphere of influence for the company is in the Americas. So I take care of everything from the North Pole to the South Pole in this hemisphere. But obviously, that's not to say that every country has vacation rentals. So Mexico is a market that we're really pressing into right now. And then Canada is a market that we want to grow more. And we have a fairly good footprint in the US, but there's always room to grow. And one area that we really want to work with is a lot of property managers that we've seen in the last probably 6 to 8 months are looking at bespoke PMS systems, so like customizing and building out their own. And so in that, they need channel management. So we can offer kind of a white label, if you will. We can offer them channel management within their system through our supply API. So we have a couple of different APIs that offer different technology, and then it allows us to be in multiple markets at any given time because we can morph into what they need based on the market conditions.
That's really interesting. So it sounds like you guys have a pretty solid tech capability.
Yeah, we have about 50 developers and product people on our team, whether through contracts or on staff. And go back to our relationship with Booking.com. We have worked very closely with them, and so we understand the channels are at the forefront of the technology, and they understand what is coming and what needs to be done. So we're kind of right there at the door to be able to have them hand it off to us to say, like, here's what we're developing out. This is what you're going to need fairly soon. As a example, we are part of a program called the Seamless Experience Accelerator that Booking.com put together, and there's only one other US-based company that has completed it alongside us. There's companies in Europe that have done it. I think there's 5 globally. But what it's done is it's taken a lot of, I mentioned the foundational tools and functions of the extranet for booking, and it's put it in our system, so you don't have to go into the extranet to do these things. And so what that's allowed us to do is just really look at our other channels, like what functionality could we put in our system that causes friction for people to work with the channels. And that, at the end of the day, a channel manager should be doing that for you, is help you remove that friction with working with the channels so you can optimize your distribution and drive revenue, because that's what everybody wants.
I love the sound of reducing friction.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if somebody hears this and would like to get a demo or follow up with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch?
So they can always find me on LinkedIn. Anybody that knows me, I'm really active on LinkedIn, but they can email directly annie.holcomb@nextpax.com, or they can go to our website, nextpax.com, and they can register and request a demo. We'd be happy to do it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rebecca.
Cheers, everyone.